Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year to all of my listeners, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Extracting Wisdom. In this episode, I will be sharing how I manage my personal finances and how you can too. Let's face it, finances will be a huge part of our daily lives as dentists as we manage our practices, but in order to get our business finances in order, we must first tackle our own personal finances. So let's get into it and stay tuned.
It's just fired.
You are now listening to Extracting Wisdom. Here to help you prevent the decay of your future is your host, Brandon Evert.
Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to our first episode of 2019. So one thing before we get started, I am very proud to announce that my website has been revamped, and I am now the proud owner of Bevert.dental. So for those of you who may be thinking, why does a dental student have a DMD in his URL? And I want to address that and clear that up right now and just throw this out there because the main reason why I got this domain is that when I do become a licensed dentist, I am the owner. So there's no problems down the road. So that's why I snatched it up while I could. And just for those of you who are wondering, I do make it very clear on all my social media, I am not a licensed dentist yet. I am simply just documenting my journey throughout dental school. Anyway, the new website has links to all of my podcast episodes, a new dental study club page that is under development now and will be available as a resource for dental students. I also have an affiliate store with various items such as dental hygiene products, DAT study materials, and some of my favorite books. Purchasing these products will not only help you become a better future dentist, but it'll also help support the podcast. So thank you. Head on over to BrandonEverett.dmd.com and check it out. Okay, so let's talk finances. First, a quick disclaimer. I am obviously no financial expert, but these tips I'm about to share have helped me manage my expenses, save money, and take advantage of my everyday spending. So the first thing I want to talk about is Acorns. And Acorns is an app for your phone that allows you to save money and invest that money into a set investment portfolio. And that kind of sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. Basically, this app allows you to round up your purchases and then invest the difference into this portfolio. So basically, here's a quick example. So if you are at Starbucks and you spend $4.50 on a cup of coffee, Acorns will round up that purchase to $5 and then put the extra 50 cents, which is the difference, into your Acorns account. Now, honestly, I wouldn't expect to make a ton of money from the investment side of things, but this is an excellent way to set it and forget it, basically, and save money. And I've been using this app for about 2 years now, and both years I've saved about $500. And that's cash that you can use for travel, for larger purchases, whatever. And it's very convenient because you can deposit additional cash into that account as well and withdraw your funds at almost any time. So this app is very easy to use and allows you to save money without even realizing it. So if you're interested in saving extra money in 2019, look down in the show notes and click on the link for Acorns, and it will take you right to the website to download the app. So check it out. Okay, so now that you are saving money with Acorns, the next thing you need to do is start establishing your credit history. And if you already have a credit card, awesome. If you don't, I'll start with the basics, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty about using credit and how those of you who already have credit cards can get the most value out of your everyday spending. So the first credit card I ever got was the Chase Freedom Unlimited. And I'll be mostly talking about Chase credit cards here because that's what I personally use, but what I'm about to talk about can be applied to other credit cards and companies as well. So the great thing about the Chase Freedom Unlimited card is that there is no annual fee, and you're going to earn 1.5% cash back in the form of ultimate reward points on every purchase that you make. And these points can then be used for, like I said, cash back, travel miles, gift cards to your favorite stores, and many more. Now, if you are a student who is paying for rent and you are able to pay with a credit card, definitely do this if it's possible. Not only will you be building up your credit score, but you're also going to be getting that 1.5% back every time you pay rent, which by the end of a year can really add up to a large amount. And this leads to racking up points very quickly. And if you spend $500 within the first 3 months with this card, you're going to get a $150 bonus back, But remember, though, this is to be used for money that you're going to be spending anyway. So don't go out and buy a bunch of miscellaneous things that you don't need. You got to remember to use credit responsibly. And if you are interested in this card, I also have a referral link in the show notes for you. You can just click on it and begin your application process today and start taking advantage of those everyday spends. Now, if you already have a credit card and you've been building up your credit history, you should really consider applying for an upper tier card. And for me, after using the Chase Freedom Unlimited for about half a year, I stepped up and applied for the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And so basically what these higher tier cards do is allow you to get more value for the money that you spend. So this card has a $95 annual fee, but you get 2% back on travel and dining, as well as 1% back on everything else. Now, where this card really shines is that if you spend $4,000 within 3 months, after getting your card. Now, this sounds like a lot. However, if you're paying rent monthly, you're going to be able to pay this off and get this amount very quickly. So if you meet those requirements, you're going to get 50,000 points. And basically, 50,000 points equates to $500 cash back, or when you redeem them for travel miles, they become 25% more valuable. So that's pretty much a free round-trip flight just for spending money that you were going to spend anyway. So take a look down in the show notes after this episode is over and check out the link if you're interested in the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Now here's a quick little strategy. If you are in the possession of both of these cards that I just mentioned or cards that are similar, you can really take advantage of your everyday spending. So for example, for dining and travel, you can use your upper tier card, which would be the Chase Sapphire Preferred or any other equivalent. And then for every other purchase that you make, you can purchase with your Chase Freedom Unlimited, which gives you 1.5% cash back on everything else. If you were to use your Chase Sapphire for other purposes, you'd only get 1% back. Then Chase offers the option to transfer your ultimate reward points. So after making those purchases on your Chase Freedom Unlimited, you are able to then transfer those points onto your Chase Sapphire Preferred card to really get the most value for your everyday spending and put that towards airline miles or cash back. So credit cards are not something to be scared of. Just make sure you use them responsibly, and it allows you to take advantage of the money you are spending anyway and use it towards cash back or travel, all while building your credit history. Now, the next thing I want to just briefly mention and go over are some big factors that can affect your credit score. And before I even begin, I urge you to go check out the Ty Lopez Show, which is another podcast that you can find, and search for his episode with Stephen Lau, which is StephenLiao, I believe. Or you can just go onto his podcast and search credit, and you'll find an episode that this Stephen Lau guy does a really great job of explaining how credit works and how you can maximize your score. But here are some factors that I have found that really can affect your credit score. So the first thing is your credit card utilization. And according to the podcast, Mr. Stephen Lau, who's the credit card guru, you want to keep your utilization to 9% or lower, which means before paying off your credit card, you should only be using 9% of your credit, your total credit line. So what this means is that if you are maxing out your credit cards and then paying it off at the end of the month, that actually is not helping your score whatsoever. And what I suggest is after you use your credit card, and this is something that I do, make it a part of your daily routine, is to go on and check if you have any charges to your credit card and just pay them off as soon as it hits your bank account. Once it becomes a routine, you're going to keep your credit card utilization very low, and you're going to see that increase in your credit score. Now, the next thing is your credit age, and that is pretty much the age of all of your credit accounts. So basically, the longer you have your credit cards and that you actively use them and use them responsibly, the higher your score is going to get. Now, this means that if you already have a credit card, and let's say you've only had it for a year, and then you go and apply for another credit card, your average credit age becomes 6 months instead of that year. So you're going to expect to see a reduction in your credit score, a temporary reduction. So the fact that you got a credit card, that is not what is reducing your score. it is the age that has been decreased. That's why you usually see a decrease in your credit score when you get a new credit card. Now, some of you might be wondering or have never even checked your credit score. And one way you can check this, and you might be able to check it through your bank, but one way that everybody can check is creditkarma.com. Now, the great thing about creditkarma.com is that it is a soft inquiry. And what that means is that you are looking up your credit score for personal use. Okay, so looking at your credit score through Credit Karma will not hurt your credit score whatsoever, because this is a soft inquiry. Now, a hard inquiry is when the bank checks your credit. So you might see, in addition to the decrease in your credit age, you might see some additional loss of your credit score due to a hard inquiry. But again, your score might lower, but this is a temporary reduction. As you use your cards more responsibly and your age increases again, you will see your credit score slowly start to rise. So those are just some of the things I wanted to mention specifically about credit cards. If you're interested, I strongly urge you to go check out that podcast. It is a great episode, and I've learned a lot from it. I've even went back to it 2, 3, 4 times just to listen to it again to pick up some additional information. So go check it out and start building your credit history. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is tracking your spending and your finances. This is something that we should all, as pre-dental students, dental students, and especially as dentists, obviously, we should get into the habit of doing this, especially because most of us are going to end up managing our own businesses. We need to be able to track our own personal finances and get into a habit and routine so that we can transfer that routine over to our business expenses so they stay organized and we are able to visualize and see where we can cut spending, where we're making the most money, etc., etc. Now, when it comes to personal finances, I typically like to do spreadsheets, whether it's in Excel or any other program that you have. And I like to make a couple different spreadsheets within the same project. So the first spreadsheet is going to be a list of your transactions. And within that list, you want to keep track of the category of that transaction. So you'll be able to see how much you're spending on dining out every month, or how much you're spending on gas or your rent, whatever. That way you can track your expenses by category and see each individual transaction that you are making. The next one I recommend making is a monthly or maybe bi-weekly snapshot of all the accounts that you have. So that way you can very quickly and easily assess your bank accounts on a monthly or bi-weekly basis. So that way you can see the effects of your transactions on your overall finances. And the last big piece of advice that I want to offer here is the power of saving. You must lay out for yourself before you even get a paycheck how much you are going to save. So is that 10% of your income? Is that going to be 20% of your monthly income? Whatever it is, make a decision and stick to it. And this is going to allow you to consistently save a chunk of money every month to then later invest that money, stick it into a high interest savings account, or save for a well-deserved trip. Well, it's about that time to wrap up this episode. I really hope these couple financial tips will help you conquer and get on top of your personal finances in 2019. All of the links to Acorns and the credit cards I mentioned will be in the show notes below. And as always, please send me an email if you have any questions or want to be a guest host on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.